Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome to part 2 of differentiation. Now in this video, we are going to be covering the basics of differentiation. Okay, and there are a few types of differentiation that you have to know. The first type is the most basic type. Okay, so I'm going to write here differentiation. There are a few types. Differentiation. The first type is the basic one. So how the basic one works is, for example, let's say you have 2x squared, okay, or I should say 2x cubed. Okay, how are you going to differentiate this? If y is equals to 2x cubed, so when you differentiate, it becomes dy dx. Why dy dx? Because you're differentiating the y equation in terms of x value, right? In terms of x value, so it becomes dx. If you, for example, have y equals to 2k cubed, so when you differentiate this, it becomes dy dk, because you're differentiating equation y in terms of k, right? So I'm just teaching you how to write this. So the basic way of differentiating, right, goes like this. You are going to take the power, and multiply the front number. Okay, multiply the front number. So when you multiply, what do you get? You get 6, correct? 3 times 2 is 6. So you're going to write here 6. Okay, the next thing you do is you're going to take the power again, minus 1. So you get 2, correct? So you're going to write 6x squared. Okay, so remember, both involves the power. The first step is take the power, multiply by the coefficient of the variable. So you're going to times 2. So you get 6x. And then the cube, the 3 there, you're going to minus 1, you get square. Okay? So this is the most basic way of differentiation. Okay, so if let's say I give you y is equals to 4x power 4. How are we going to differentiate this? So you're going to become dy dx equals to, so 4 times 4 is 16, and then x, the power 4, right, is going to minus 1, you get power 3. So this is your answer. So this is the most basic way of differentiation. If let's say, for example, you have like this, y equals to 3x squared minus 4x minus 3 minus 12, let's say. How are you going to differentiate this? Same thing, same exact way. Okay, what you're going to do is equals here dy dx. So 3 times 2, okay, 3 times 2, you get 6x, 2 minus 1, power 1. So you don't have to write power 1, just leave it as it is. So 6x. Next, 4x. So this is x power 1, correct? So 1 multiplied by 4, you get 4 lah. No difference. So you just write negative 4. And then the x, you are going to take the 1 minus 1. So x power 0, correct? X power 0 is what? X power 0 is equals to 1. Any value power 0 is equals to 1. If I write 4 power 0 equals to 1. Y power 0 equals to 1. Okay, so in other words, you don't have to write the value. The x power 0, you can just ignore, because it's going to be equals to 1, right? So if I write here 1, I'm still going to get negative 4. So there's no use for you to write it. Okay, so what happens to the constant? Negative 12 here. What happens? So if you notice, what this means is the x value, right, is power 0, correct? Same as what happened here. There's no, you don't write x power 0 because it's equals to 1, correct? So in this case, actually there is a x. The x is power 0. That's why you don't write it. So what happens if you take 0 multiplied by 12, you get 0, correct? You get 0. So even if I calculate x power negative 1 here, because you minus 1, there is no point. Why? Because 0 times x power negative 1 is still equals to 0, correct? So in other words, you don't have to write this, because it equals 0. And if you plus 0 or you minus 0 is still equals to nothing there, right? So you don't have to write anything. So in other words, if you differentiate a constant, it becomes nothing, right? It becomes nothing. You don't have to write anything here. Okay, clear? So when you differentiate this, you get 6x minus 4. Okay, now if you don't understand, don't worry. Like I said, we have more questions coming. Okay, so this is the basic way of differentiating. Okay, you have to use this format. The second way is I should say product. Right here, product rule. Okay, product rule. What does product rule mean? So there is a formula for this product rule right here. Product rule. So what does product rule mean? Product rule means, like for example, let's say you have x cube bracket x square plus 3x. Okay, let's say you've got this y equals to this. Okay, you want to differentiate this. Okay, let's say what you can do is you can use product rule. So product rule becomes dy dx equals to, so how you're going to differentiate this? You're going to take this becomes you're going to break this into two parts. The first part here is u, the second part here is v. Okay, so what is the formula to differentiate this? You're going to take u v prime. What is v prime? V prime means the first derivation of v, which is, in other words, dv dx. Okay, the differentiation of v plus v u prime. This is product rule. Okay, so let me write here. You can write two ways. Either you write like this, u v prime plus v u prime. You can write like this, or you can write in terms of like this, u dv dx plus v du dx. Okay, so it's actually the same meaning Okay, so never mind, I'm just going to give you guys the formula and just briefly explain now, so that later when we do the exercise you can understand. Okay, don't worry if you don't understand right now. Clear? So next, the third one is called quotient rule. Quotient rule. So what is quotient rule? Quotient rule is similar to product rule, but the only difference is quotient rule is for division. Okay, so just now I gave you y equals to x cube times bracket x square plus x, correct? Let's say, so this one is product rule. Why? Because you got this times this. Okay, it's product. But if you have, for example, like this, x cube over x square plus x, now this one is divide, correct? So because it's a division, you can use quotient rule. Okay, so what is the formula? Same thing, I just give you the formula and later we will practice together. So this one here, the top here is going to be u, the value down here is going to be v. Okay, for product rule, this one is u, this one is v. Okay, these two. Okay, so once you already identify this, which is u, which is v, you can find your product rule. The formula is right here, dy dx. So this one is dy dx equals to v u prime minus u v prime over v square. Okay, this is the formula, or it can also be written as v du dx minus u dv dx over v square. Okay, so this is the formula. Don't worry if you don't understand. Like I said, we'll work on this later. So next, the last one actually I'm going to highlight here is no space. I'm going to write here composite. When you have composite function. Okay, composite function. For example, you solve something like this: a fx power n. Okay, so I give you an example here. Let's say you encounter a question like this: y equals to x square, x plus 1 square. Okay, how are you going to solve this? So by right, this is actually a very easy equation. Why? Because you can expand this. When you expand, you get y equals to x squared plus 2x plus 1. Correct? So this, when you get this, you can straight away use the basic rule of differentiation. You don't even have to use this. Okay, but if let's say the question comes out something like this, instead of power 2, they gave you power 10. See, when it is square, you can just straight away count, right? You can expand it. Correct? But if it's power 10, are you going to expand 10 times? Until 10 times? No, you're not going to do that. So, because of that, there is a easier way to solve. Okay, there's an easier way to solve this kind of question. So I'm going to show you here, just a brief one, so that later we'll cover more of this. Okay, so now I'll show you the shortcut. So what you're going to do is dy dx, right? You're going to use similar to the basic way of differentiating. You're going to take this value, multiply the front value here. So in this case, nothing is written here, correct? That means it's 1, right? That means it's 1 here. So 10 times 1 is 10. Correct? Okay, you write 10 first, and then you copy back whatever you have there. X plus 1 power. See, now the 10, right? You're going to do what? You're going to minus 1, like how you did the basic rule just now. So 10 minus 1, you get 9. Clear? So you're going to do just that. But there is an additional step, which is you are also going to differentiate whatever is in here and write another bracket here. Whatever is inside here, you're going to differentiate and write it inside here. Okay? So in this case, it's going to be the x value going to be 1, correct? When you differentiate, it becomes 1. So finally your answer would be 10x plus 1 power 9. Now in this case, because the x value is just 1, right? X power 1. So you only get 1 here. But if let's say the x is power 3, let's say. Okay, if x is power 3, what you get is 3x squared. Okay, then you can take this, multiply by the front part here to simplify the formula. You will get equals to 30x squared x cubed plus 1 power 9. Okay, so this is the composite function way. Okay, it's just a shortcut to solve. Okay, now if you don't understand, like I said, don't worry, we have a lot of questions waiting for you to understand this chapter. Okay, don't worry, I'll go through with you and make sure you understand this chapter. Alright, let's go to the questions. So first question, find the first derivative. So first derivative means what? Dy dx lah. Okay, it's just another way of saying differentiate. Instead of saying differentiation, they will tell you first derivative. Okay, so it means differentiate it. Okay, so find the first derivative for each of the following function with respect to x. See, it says here with respect to x, so you know it's going to be dx. Okay, it's going to be dx because you're differentiating in terms of x. So now let's assume this is y equals to 4 over 5x power 10. So when right here y equals to 4 over 5 x power 10, so same thing, x multiply 4 over 5, you should get, so here dy dx, when you multiply you get what? 4 over 5 times 10, you get 8 x, 10, don't forget 10 must minus 1, so you get 9. Okay, next question, 3 over 4x power 8. So most of you guys will do some funny things here. What I've seen people do, right, is you differentiate the bottom here. Okay, you cannot do that. You want to differentiate, you must differentiate the whole thing. Okay, now but since the x is only at the bottom, your first step is you cannot straight away differentiate. You cannot differentiate down here and write 8 times 4, 32x power 7. You cannot do that. This is wrong. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to bring the x on top. So remember last time we learned this 1 over x. If I bring this on top, it becomes x power negative 1. Correct? So that's what you're going to do. Okay, you don't just differentiate whatever is down there. So when you switch this, it becomes y equals to 3 over 4. Now x power negative 8. Okay, why? Because just now was at the bottom. It was a denominator. So you're going to bring this up to become x power negative 8. Okay, so now what you're going to do is same thing, take this, multiply, and then minus 1. So you would get dy dx equals to, so negative 8 times 3 over 4, you get negative 2, negative 6 x. So negative 1 minus negative 1 minus 1, you get negative 9. Okay, so in other words, it becomes negative 6 over x power 9. Okay, so this is your answer. Now if you just straight away did like what I said just now, you just differentiate the bottom one, you'll get 32x power 7. Now this is wrong, huh? Okay, you cannot do that. You have to shift the x up first, then only differentiate. Clear? So this is all still the basic of differentiation. That means you use the basic method. Alright, so now let's see the next question. Y equals to 6 over cube root x. So when you see when the x at the denominator, make sure you always bring it up first before you start differentiating. Okay, I don't want you to straight away differentiate when it's at the denominator. You get the wrong answer. Okay, so first thing you want to do is bring it up. So how do you bring this up? So first of all, I hope you guys remember this. Whenever you encounter a question like this, x power 2 and then you cube root, let's say. Okay, how do you write this in terms of power? So when you write in terms of power, it becomes x power 2 over 3. Okay, this one means the power, this one is the root. Okay, power root. Okay, this is not the string, huh? Power root. So if let's say for example x power 4 and then square root 5, so it becomes x power 4 over 5. Okay, so make sure you know this, huh? If it's at the bottom, what if it's at the bottom? If it's at the bottom, it becomes x power 4 over 5. Make sure you don't forget negative. Why? Because it's at the denominator. When you bring it up, you must have a negative here. Okay, so that's what we're going to do for this question. To bring it up, we are going to, it's going to become like this. So y equals to 6 x power, so this one becomes what? X cube root, right? So it's 1 over 3. Now since you're bringing it up, it's going to be negative 1 over 3. Okay, so once you got this, you can differentiate as per usual. So this one times the front number here, then minus 1. So dy dx equals to negative 2x. So negative 1 minus 1, you get negative 1 over 3. So you can simplify this. You get negative 4 over 3. Yes. So you get, if I write it in a normal form, it becomes negative 2 over x power 4 cube root. Okay, so this should be your answer. Clear? So now next, let's see, y is equals to negative 12 cube root of x square. So this one is much more complex here, like I said. So what you're going to do is write it in terms of power first. Okay, negative 12 x power cube root means what? Fraction, right? So 2 over 3. Okay, so now you're going to do like normal. Take this, multiply by the front one, and then minus 1 here. So you get dy dx equals to, so negative 12 times 2 over 3 is 4, 8. So negative 8x. So 2 over 3 minus 1, you get negative 1 over 3. So in other words, it's going to be equals to negative 8 over x. See, because negative, right? So it's going to be a fraction. So the x is at the bottom. And then 1 over 3 means cube root. Okay. So this is your answer. Alright. Next. Differentiate each of the following function with respect to x. So this one is actually the same thing. So before, the previous question was more of we are differentiating single numbers, okay, numbers with the variable lah. But in this case, now they combine it, so you have plus minus involved. Okay, so let's do it together. Question A: y is equals to 4x squared plus 6x minus 1. So dy dx is going to be equals to 4 times 2 here minus 1, and then this is power 1, right, times 6 minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to do it much faster now because I'm sure you guys already know the basic. So you get 8x power 1 plus 6, then negative 1 becomes 0, so no need to write. Okay, so this is your answer. Okay, question B: y equals to 4 over 5. See, square root x. Square root x, I'm going to change it to x power 1 over 2 plus, so this one is also x power 1 over 2, but if I bring it up, it's going to be x power negative 1 over 2. Okay, negative means fraction, so you're going to bring it down later. So in this case, we are going to differentiate this. Okay, so I'll write it like this so that you all can see here. So 4 over 5 multiplied by 1 over 2, because I multiply here, right, the power, x power 1 over 2 minus 1. Then the back part is going to be 2 times negative 1 over 2, x power negative 1 over 2 minus 1. So you will get, here you can simplify 2, you get 2 over 5 x. 1 over 2 minus 1 is actually x power, this is negative 1 over 2, right? So what does negative 1 over 2 means? Negative 1 over 2 means it's going to be at the bottom, it's going to be a denominator, so it's going to be square root of x. Okay, right here in the middle, 2 over 5 square root of x. So, and then you're going to do here, you can simplify, you will get negative 1. No, you don't have to write 1. So this one, you need to combine negative 1 over 2 minus 1, you get negative 3 over 2. So negative 3 over 2 means what? Negative 3 over 2 means the 2 means square root, and then the 3 is the power, and negative is going to be a fraction, so it's going to be 1 over x, okay, because it's negative, right, so it's fraction. The 3 is cube, and then the 2 is square root. So this is your answer. Okay, so I hope you're following me, because it's starting to get a little bit more complicated than usual. So question C here. So what you can do here, so this one is actually, you can use the composite function way, which I showed you all just now, but in this case I'm not going to do that. Why? Because you can actually expand this, right? So we are going to expand this together. If it's a simple equation, we try to expand it. Okay, you try to expand it. So y equals to, so you can either do it like this, y minus 4, sorry, you can try to expand it like this first, or you can just straight away expand with the shortcut. Okay, you expand this, it becomes 9 square is 81, and then 9 times negative 4 times 2, you get minus 872 x plus 16x square. Okay, so this is expanding. So what is dy dx? Okay, if you don't know what I just did here, guys, if you don't know what I just did here, then you do the normal way. Okay, I'll show you one time what actually happened, in case for those who don't know what just happened. as if I did magic. No, I didn't do any magic. So square, right? What you do is, this one you're going to square, you get 9 square, and then the back part you square, you're going to write here, and then the middle part, right, you're going to take this, multiply by this, multiply by this. Okay, so in other words, it's going to be 9 times negative 4x times 2. Okay, so what you get, this is what you get. Okay, 9 square becomes 81, and then the 9 times negative 4 times 2, you get negative 72x, and then negative 4x square, you get 16x square. Yes, correct. Oh. Alright, so wait, let me erase this so that you don't disturb we got no space here. Alright, so what after differentiating, 81 is a constant, so you differentiate, it becomes 0, so you don't have to write. Okay, so you straight away see the second one, so it becomes negative 72. Why? Because here power 1, right? Power 1, negative 72 times 1 is still negative 72, and then x power 1, the power 1 minus 1 is x power 0, so you don't have to write x power 0. X power 0 is equals to 1, so you just leave it. Okay, so the second one, plus 16, is going to be positive 32x power 1. So this is your answer. Alright guys, let's look at the next question. So in this case, now, how are you going to solve this? Same thing, differentiation with respect to x. But how are you going to solve this? Some people, like you see the first question here, you might say it is a product rule. Yes, you can do product rule. But if you notice what you can do, right? You can actually expand it. Right? If you expand, then you don't have to use product rule. You can just use basic differentiation rule. And the second question here, what are you going to do? In this question, you can actually use the composite function rule. But since it is just square, you can also expand it. Okay, it's not difficult to expand. So once you expand, it becomes much easier to solve. You can use the basic differentiation method as well. The third question here, you can also expand. Right? You can also expand, and then you can use the basic differentiation rule. So what I want you all to know, right, is that although the equation might look complicated, but I want you all to realize that sometimes you can actually expand it or simplify it to make it easier for you to solve. So you don't have to use the product rule or quotient rule and all that. So because if some people might see this and think you can use quotient rule. Yes, you can. But quotient rule is a bit long. So if you can simplify it or you can expand it and then use the basic differentiation rule, it will be so much easier and so much faster. And you will also make less error. So I want you all to look at the question first, try to understand how you can simplify it before you decide what rule you're going to use. Okay, what formula you're going to use. So in this case, alright, we're going to expand it. So y equals to 4x square 5 minus, so x, square root x is x power 1 over 2, correct? So when you expand this, what do you get? You get 20x square minus 4, so remember x square times x 1 over 2, what is going to happen? The power, you're going to add them up, right? It's like indices. So you get x power 5 over 2. Okay, so wait, let me write this, x power 5 over 2. So now with this, you can straight away differentiate. Okay, so you differentiate, you get 20, and then the 2 multiply by the 20. X power 2 minus 1 is 1, so you just write x there. Next, 4 times 5 over 2, x power 5 over 2 minus 1, which is 3 over 2, correct? Wait, yeah, 3 over 2. Okay, so you simplify this, you get 40x minus, here you can simplify 2, so you get 10, 3 over 2, right? So it's square root x cubed. Okay, so this is your answer. So question B, same thing. Like I said, we are going to expand it first. Okay, expand it. So you get x square, and you're going to square it again, you get x power 4. Okay, this is actually the same as this. So here you multiply. Okay, so you get x power 4, and then plus, so the middle number is what? X square times 4 over x times 2. So here you can simplify here, so you can, oh wait, here you cannot simplify. So you get 8x. So here is 8x plus 4 over x square is what? 16 over x square. So I'm going to write it as 16x power negative 2. Why I'm writing it like this? So that it becomes much easier for me to differentiate. Okay, so now you can differentiate. So dy dx equals to 4x cubed plus 8, okay, plus 16 times negative 2, you get negative 32. So I'm going to write negative 32 x power negative 3. Okay, because here minus 1, you should get negative 3. So it's going to be 4x cubed plus 8 minus 32 over x cubed. Okay, so this is your answer. Last question here is question C. Same thing, we are going to expand first. So I'm going to do it up here. Okay, so when you expand, what are you going to get? You're going to get 4x minus 4x square minus 1 plus x. So when you simplify this, you should get, so 4x plus x is 5x minus 4x square minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to just write it up here. 5x minus 4x square minus 1 over x power 1 over 2. Okay, because square root means 1 over 2. So what you can do is you can break this apart. So it becomes 5x over x power 1 over 2 minus 4x square over x power 1 over 2 minus 1 over x power 1 over 2. Okay, this is the same as this, by the way. I think last time we all probably learned this before, right? Over 2. It becomes what? 3, okay, right here. 3x over 2 plus 1 over 2. Okay, the denominator, you can break it apart. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. Why am I doing that? Because it will become easier for me to differentiate later. I don't have to use quotient rule, right? Because quotient rule is much more complicated. So here you can simplify. So x 5x divide by x power 1 over 2. Divide means what? The indices, the power you need to minus. So 1 minus 1 over 2 is also equals to 1 over 2. So 5x power 1 over 2 minus 2 minus 1 over 2 would be, let me think, 2 over 1 over 2, 3 over 2. So 4 power x, 3 over 2. Then here becomes x power negative 1 over 2. So now you can differentiate. So dy dx equals to 5 over 2 x 1 over 2 minus 1 would be negative 1 over 2 minus 4 times 3 over 2, you get 6x. 3 over 2 minus 1 is 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2 x negative 1 over 2 times minus 1 negative 3 over 2. Okay, so you write this, you will get 2 square root x minus 6 square root x plus 1 over 2 square root x cubed. Okay, now if you cannot understand me, if I'm doing it too fast, please slow it down. Okay, or you can pause and try to understand this. Okay, it's actually based on all the basic that I've already taught you all. Okay, alright, next. Okay, differentiate each of the following expression with respect to x. So you see here, this is what I call as composite function method. Okay, so I told you just now, if let's say you have 3x plus x square power 2, so what you can do is you can expand this because it's only square, correct? It's only square, so you can expand it and then you can solve. But if let's say this power 10, if it's power 10, you cannot be expanding it 10 times, right? So that's why we use the composite function method, because it is much faster. So we're going to do it for here as well, because you see the power here, power 5, power 4. It's going to take a while. So let's do it together. Y equals to x plus 4 power 5. So dy dx is question A. Dy dx is equals to, so this 5, you're going to multiply the front here and then minus 1. So you get 5x plus 4 power 4. Okay, and then the second bracket here, you have to differentiate whatever is inside here. So in this case, you only get 1 because you differentiate x, becomes 1. The 4 becomes 0. So your answer should be 5x plus 4 power 4. This is your answer. Question B. Y equals to 2x minus 3 power 4. So dy dx is equals to, same thing here, 4 multiply the front number minus 1. So you get 4 2x minus 3 power 3. And then you differentiate what's in the bracket, you will get 2 here. So when you expand the 4, you can times the 2 here, okay, to simplify it, to get 8 times 2x minus 3 power 3. So this is your answer. Alright. Okay, next. Find dy dx for each of the following function. So in this case, you see here, what is going to happen? In this case, right, actually you can just expand it, okay? But since we have already done so many expanding, I'm going to use product rule, okay? So before that, I want to tell you all something. Some of you guys might confuse yourself between product rule and the composite function method, because you know why? Some of you all, right, like for example, y equals to let's say x 3x plus x square. Okay, so how are you going to solve this? If you want to differentiate this, the first way, which is the easiest way, is you can expand. Okay, so you get 3x square plus x cube. Then you differentiate. Yes, you can do that. So you get 6x plus 3x square. You can do this. Okay, the second way you can do is product rule. Product rule means this value here becomes u, this value here becomes v. Okay, which I will show you in a short while. Then you use the formula uv prime plus vu prime. Okay, I will show you guys in a short while. Okay, so what happens if you can expand the bracket? You just expand it first, then you use the basic method. But if let's say the question becomes very complicated, for example, x plus 3 power 4 times 2x minus 1 cube. So it becomes very complicated, right? You got here the first one and the second one here. So what you can do is you can use product rule. So u and v. Then use the formula. Yes, you can do that, because there is no way for you to expand this. You can, but it's going to take a long time to expand. Okay, so in this case, you are going to just use the formula. Okay, but okay, so this is comparing in terms of the basic differentiation and product. But sometimes if you encounter question like this, y equals to 3x square plus 1, let's say, and then square. So this one, same thing, you can expand it, okay, and then use the basic method, or you can use the second one, is called the composite function method. you don't have to use product rule. Why? Because the first number here, right, if you use product rule, here become u, here become v, right? You can do that, but it's unnecessary because the u value here, there's no x. Okay, the only time you use product rule is when you have, it's a product. First of all, it has to be a product. Second thing is there is x value on both sides. The u value here got x, the v value also got x. So you see the question here got x, in the bracket here also got x, here got x, here also got x. So in this case, you use product rule. But you see the question that I'm giving you here, you don't need to use product rule because the front here there is no x value. So you can straight away use the composite function rule. Okay, so composite function rule means you take this, multiply the front here, so you get 6 here minus 1, so you write 3x squared plus 1 power 1. Okay, and then the second bracket here is differentiate what is inside, so you get 3x. That's it. So you can simplify, you get 18x, 2x squared plus 1. This is your answer. Okay, so okay, let me just simplify whatever I just said. If you encounter, if something looks like product rule, but you notice that the outside got no x, the inside only got x, like for example like this, it looks like a product rule, right? Because here is the u, here is the v value, but there is only x value in the x, there is only x in the v part or the u part. Okay, it's not in both. So you don't have to use product rule, you just use composite function. But if you notice, like the question we are going to solve later, you got x here, you got x here, you got x here, you got x here, then you know for a fact you have to use product rule. Clear? Unless you can simplify it, then you can use the basic differentiation. Okay, if you cannot simplify, you use product rule. Okay, never mind, don't worry, we have more questions. So now for now, let us solve this using product rule. So question A, y equals to 4, okay, for y equals to 4x squared and then times 5x plus 3. So what happens is, the front part here, we assume this is u and this one equals to v. So the u value is 4x squared. So if you differentiate this, it becomes du dx, right? Or I can write u prime, same thing, u prime. So it becomes 8x. Okay, then the v value is what? 5x plus 3. When you differentiate this, you get v prime, which is 5. Okay, so how, what's the formula again? Remember, product rule is uv plus vu. So that means you are just uv prime plus vu prime. So that means you are sort of like cross multiplying here lah. Okay, vu prime plus uv prime. Clear? So your okay, let me just rewrite lah so that you all understand. uv prime plus vu prime. Okay, so u is 4x squared times v prime is 5 plus v is u prime is, okay, so this is basically what is just cross multiply, right? If you notice, it's just cross multiplying. So when you expand this, you will get 20x squared plus 40x squared plus 24x. So you will get 60x squared plus 24x. So this is your answer for question A. Next, let's see question B. So which is going to be u and which is going to be v? So the front part here becomes u, this one is going to be v. Now if you switch it up, if you actually mix them up, you should also get the same answer, by the way. Okay, so in this case, you will get your u value is negative 2x cubed. So u prime is equals to what? Negative 6x squared. V is equals to x plus 1, so v prime is equals to 1. Okay, you differentiate, the x becomes 1, the 1 becomes 0. So use the formula dy dx equals to, the product rule is uv prime plus vu prime. So negative 2x cubed multiplied by 1 plus x plus 1 multiplied by negative 6x squared. You get negative 2x cubed minus 6x cubed minus 6x squared. So you get negative 8x cubed minus 6x squared. So this is your answer. Alright, so now let's see the last part of this video is what? This one looks like what to you? Just by looking at this, you know that it is quotient rule, right? Because it's a division and you cannot simplify it to make it the direct differentiation method. You cannot. Okay, so the only way is quotient rule. So let's do this together. Okay, so in this case, which is going to be the u, which is going to be the v? U is the top one, v is the bottom one. U is the top one, v is the bottom one. Okay, alright, so dy, so this y, sorry, u equals to, wait, question A, u equals to 3x, so you differentiate this, u prime is going to be equals to 3. V is equals to 4x plus 6, so v prime is 4. Okay, so what's the formula? Dy dx equals to vu prime minus uv prime over, sorry, over v square, not 2v, v square. So what is v here? This one is also the same, which is the cross multiplying here, and then divide by v square. Okay, it's almost the same as product rule. So in this case, 4x plus 6 times 3 minus, okay, product rule means you're using plus, so in this case it's minus, so 3x times 4 divide by v is what? 4x plus 6 square. So when you solve this, you will get 12x plus 18 minus 12x over, so we don't have to usually expand the bottom one, you don't have to, because sometimes you can factorize with the top fraction, okay, the numerator, so try not to expand it first. So in this case, here 12x, here 12x, you can cancel each other, so you will get 18 over 4x plus 6 square. So this is your dy dx answer. Okay, alright, last one, question B. So u value is 4x square, u prime is 8x, v is 1 minus 6x, v prime is negative 6. So same thing, dy dx equals to vu prime minus uv prime divided by v square. So vu prime is 1 minus 6x times 8x minus 4x square times negative 6 divided by v square is 1 minus 6x square. Okay, so expand this, you get 8x minus 48x square plus 24x square divided by 1 minus 6x square. So you can simplify this, you should get 8x minus 24x square over 1 minus 6x square. Okay, so here you can actually continue to simplify. You can factorize 8x. Okay, so what you have here is 1 minus 3x over 1 minus 6x square. So this is your answer. Okay, wait, let me see. Is there any other? Yeah, that's it. So this should be your answer. Alright, so that is all for the for everything about differentiation. Not everything of the whole, it's not the whole chapter yet, but this is just a part 2, but we have covered the basics of differentiation. you have, okay, let me recap. We have the basic differentiation, which I told you all, multiply the front one and then minus, okay, this one, the most basic way, and then you have product rule and quotient rule, which you just have to use the formula. And then the last one is composite function. Composite function is when you have, like, for example, a bracket power 10, or power is a big power, you cannot expand it, okay, so you have to use this method, okay. And there's actually one more, they call it chain rule, but I won't cover it here because you don't really use it most of the time. You only use it at the back part of this chapter, which I will cover more later on, okay. So this is all for the basics of differentiation, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Alright, see you, take care, bye bye.